Hello, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. You are now entering Season 2 of the Swan Hockey Podcast. Swan Hockey is flying around the junior hockey world one episode at a time. You'll experience things dreams are made of, as well as things of terrible nightmares. Strap in, hold on, and enjoy the ride. And now, Swan Hockey.
Yeah, it was getting a little longer. I just trimmed it yesterday.
Yeah, it looks nice.
The mustache looks good as always.
Yeah, that's my code of ethics.
How long have you had it?
Oh God, 50 years probably.
How long?
50 years maybe.
Oh wow.
I don't remember. I don't remember not having one.
This was a crazy season. Like it was really like you told me since this, like before the season, that you guys were building to win the Quebec League and, you know, to go to the Memorial Cup and to win the Memorial Cup. And it was just really cool to see everything unfold. Like you guys won the Quebec League, went to the Memorial Cup, unfortunately didn't win the Memorial Cup, but you know, it was just, you know, awesome to see everything unfold like that.
Yeah, we did. I mean, obviously we got the coach that we really needed, and the GM that we really needed, and Mr. Irving really finally realized what we needed to win, and put all the effort into it, and let the coaches do their job, and it just turned out fantastic.
Yeah, I'd say it's great. Like what was the difference between this and like any other team that you've been a part of? Because obviously, like every team says at the beginning of the year, right? Every team says, like, for the most part, hey, we're trying to win it all, right? You might have some that are saying, hey, we're in a rebuild year, but you know, like you guys obviously being an elite organization in general, what's the difference there where, you know, you guys didn't just say it, but then you did the action, right, to give yourself the best chance to win? What was those action? What was the difference in the, you know, in the mentality and all that stuff?
Well, I think the biggest difference was the coaching. Obviously, in the past, we've had a lot of coaches, guys that came and coached, and a lot of guys came from. Mr. Irving always had a feeling about bringing in NHL guys and stuff. And as we all know, they're great guys, great friends and stuff. But when it comes to coaching, they're so used to being taken care of, and sometimes they don't have that ethics to work day in and day out with the kids to get them to that next level. And it's different for a guy like that that's played in the pros to come back and coach, although the Hunter brothers up in London, Ontario have done a great job. But in a lot of cases, it doesn't work. And we had been talking about getting Gardner McDougall in there for 2 or 3 years, and finally we got Mr. Irving to pull the trigger and get it done. And his background and his ethic and his work ethic and his ability to coach kids and get them to go was phenomenal. I've known Gardner 10 years before we ever got involved with the Wildcats, and every time he's involved, he's so focused. But the most important thing about him is he understands hockey players inside and out. He knows that you can't put too much pressure on them, but yet he makes it fun for them, and they are so pumped and they want to do everything he wants them to do. And he does all kinds of little things with the players, like he'll do, like he even did last year at training camp. He started doing a thing with the football teams, and they had like 3 groups. And every day when they'd come in after a weekend, he would sit them down and ask them all kinds of stuff about the football games. And it made it like camaraderie. The camaraderie was unbelievable. Of course, they were going against each other with the camaraderie of the football, but they were coming together as a group. And the minute he stepped on the ice with those kids, it was a different mentality. I've never seen this before in my life. The first practice we had, when the kid stepped on the ice, he got a pass. I mean, usually you get on the ice and you skate around, you warm up and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
He made them realize that this is serious business. When you're on the ice, you're going to get the puck right away. He didn't want to do anything with it. Just get the pass and skate around and warm up. And then the other thing that he did, which is unbelievable, was when he blew the whistle and he wanted you to come to him. Everybody came to him, but the last guy that got there had to do 2 laps around the rink. Didn't matter who it was, when it was. That's how it went. And like I said, it was fun. He made it fun for them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the guys were like hooting and hollering, and like whoever the last guy was, I'm sure the sticks were tapping the whole 2 laps around. Like,
oh yeah. It was like, So what happened was everybody kind of bought into it. Then obviously we had some good players, and we brought in some good players, and then they started. I mean, they just started playing. The first few games we played, we had like 6 kids went to NHL camp, so we lost a couple of games the first part of the season, but we only lost 10 games out of 56 games all season long. I mean, once we got our kids back and they started rolling, it was unbelievable, And it's, I mean, I've never seen in all the time in my life around hockey and coaches, I've never seen anybody that could take a group of kids and bring them together the way he did. Believing in themselves.
You really knew how to get the most out of them.
Oh, and they believed in themselves and they worked. I mean, they just worked so hard. And the other thing they did is they do kind of a podcast every, like at practices or game or before games or after games, where that the gal that did it was awesome. What she did was she'd ask them if one of the times was they said, if you were in trouble, which one of your teammates would you call? Well, it was just unbelievable because there was.
I remember seeing some of that. Yeah,
did you see that?
The social media reels as they were getting off the ice and stuff, or as they were getting on the ice, she'd ask them a question.
Yep, and it's so funny. It was so funny to hear. Like I can't remember who it was. Was it Stumple or one of the guys? Nobody would call him. They said, "Wait, call him." I can't remember. I can't remember which kid it was, but they said, he never answers the phone.
Yeah, I think I remember. I think I remember that one. Yeah, like that. That kind of stuff is fun. It's awesome. Like
yeah. And then, and then she'd interview the kids, ask them all kinds of different questions. And of course, you got some of the kids with their French accent and some of it's just made it fun. That stuff is just, and the people love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's got to be fun. Like that's one thing that unfortunately I feel like is lost too much in, in junior hockey and even, the older or upper levels of youth hockey. I feel like a lot of the fun sometimes gets sucked out of it. And I think a lot of people, like players and families, like they psych themselves up too much and they suck the fun out of it themselves, not on purpose. But like, I think that's so important to, like you got to be having fun. Like I believe that 100% that you're going to be the best at anything in life if you love what you do, if you're having fun, right? It's easier to work harder when you're having fun. It's easier to push harder when you're having fun. That when you're having fun, the things that suck don't actually really suck that bad, right? Or they don't suck at all. I mean, like I remember when I played, like, you'd go through an off-ice workout and you felt like you're about to throw up. Like, who does that? But but we loved it. We were having fun, right? So it wasn't that bad, right?
No, is that exactly? And it's kind of funny because Caleb obviously just got drafted for 4th pick in the first round, and Caleb he was such a class act because he was the youngest kid on the team, but yet he was the top scorer in the team and he was the most valuable player in the playoffs. But Caleb was just a class act kid. He reminds me of Patrice Bergeron. He played the game center ice, played defensive zone, played offensive zone, did it all. But he was like a leader for the rest of those kids, even though some of them were 19 and 20-year-olds. And they loved him and they busted him and they had fun with him and he'd bust them. And I mean, it's just so much fun to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's another thing too, like with Caleb, like I mean, like all season long, you're telling me like, hey, like I think this kid's gonna go top 10 in the draft. And sure enough, went number 4 to Utah.
Yep. And he's gonna be an NHLer. No, I mean he's 6'1" now, he'll probably be 6'4" by the time he gets there.
Yeah. I think they have him listed at 6'2" right now. I think he's even
and he can score goals. He makes the most beautiful plays and sets up players. He's not selfish one bit. I mean, and to find a player like that at 17 years old, usually something like that goes to their head and they get cocky, and not him. He's just the same way at the end of this season as he was when I first met him when he first came. And when he first came, he had a hip injury that he played with all year as a midget, and Graham brought him in early to work on his hip. And of course, I got to know him pretty well because I used to pick him up at his billet and bring him back to practice and stuff. And we'd laugh all the way back and stuff and talk. But he was so depressed when the season's kind of the exhibition game started. Graham wouldn't let him play. He wanted to make sure that his hip was properly fixed. And sure enough, he and then he got hurt this year in the playoffs. His wrist got hurt, but I mean, he's just unbelievable. And in the locker room, like when they're doing their workouts and stuff and doing all their exercises, he's just incredible. I mean, he just leads those guys and they just go at it. They do some fun stuff together. They'll compete, they do all kinds of competition when they're working out and stuff like. It's just amazing, really.
It's time for the Season Pass Point Unlock code for Episode 7. The Episode 7 Point Unlock code is PUCK. Enter the code at www.swanhockey.io to receive your points. Season Pass is free to join. To join or to learn more, visit Swan Hockey Digital at www.swanhockey.io. And now, back to the show.
Yeah. Have you talked to him since? I'm assuming he went out to Utah for rookie camp or dedevelopment camp.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him since?
I talked to him a little bit. He's been on the run, and he's just excited and looking forward to next year playing with us. And then I think after next year he'll be gone. Especially if the problem with him is he don't have time to work out because he's playing on a national team. He's playing here, he's playing there, but it's very important now for him to get stronger. Sure. He needs to get some work in his chest and keep working on his hips and stuff. But he's the real deal for sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, fourth overall, it's that's sick. Like,
huge.
What's next for you guys? Like, are you guys like, what's the mentality going into this season for Moncton?
I think we're going to go for it again.
Yeah,
I really do. We had 3 great European draft picks. We picked a small Russian player who I guess is really good, and then we picked a Finnish kid who's 6'5", defenseman, I think, and then we picked a Swede. And I understand that all 3 of them are excellent players. So that's going to help us, I would think, a lot. And we got 14 U.S. kids coming to camp.
Wow. How many did you have last year? Like, what's been the typical number of U.S. kids?
2.
And you guys have 14.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I saw you guys picked up somebody that's committed to BU, right? Boston University.
Yeah, and a goalie we picked up is committed to Harvard.
Okay.
He's a heck of a goaltender. But our goalie, one of our top goalies, coming back. He was going to go to college, and he decided to come back because we're going to go for it again, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you guys been getting any, like, are the schools trying to send you any of their commits or anything? Like, any guys that they have that are 18? Has that been happening at all?
Yeah, well, I don't deal with that too much. That's more Taylor, and I think Taylor's got a pretty good feel for that. Of course, last year we ended up with 3 NHL guys. We ended up with the kid from Boston who Boston drafted from Sweden. And then we ended up with the Russian kid who's with St. Louis. And we ended up with, there's 3 of them.
You got a kid from Tampa, right? In the middle of the season,
kid from Tampa. Gil. He was with Tampa in American Hockey League, and he wasn't getting a lot of ice time. So they said, hey, let's send him to us and let him play with us, So that worked out really well for us. And I'm sure that there's going to be some other things like that happening now,
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting too. Like, even like with the new rules with the NHL and everything, like where they, that rule that just came out where you can have every CHL team can send one 19-year-old now to the American League.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like we got another kid who really took off during the playoffs named Smith, and he's about, I want to say 6'3", and he's just a rock. I mean, he's just huge, and he's thick, And I mean, the playoffs, he was outstanding. And I had a good chat with him just before I left, talked to him about what I want to see him do is work on his skating, get some more power skating stuff this summer. But he's going to be an NHLer. And he got picked up by, I'm not sure where he got picked up. Was it Detroit or somebody? But anyway, this kid's going to be a heck of a player too. He in the playoffs when we were at the Memorial Cup, he was our best player.
Wow.
And he's coming back, you know. So those are the kind of things that really make a difference. I mean, and of course with the connections that Taylor has. Taylor, of course, was a player agent before, and he's an attorney, so he's hooked up that he knows everybody around the country. And you know, of course, with the year that we had, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to send us players and say, hey, you know, take them for a year and develop them and help us, because you figure if they go in the American Hockey League and they're not playing, that's not helping them.
No, you got to play, right?
Right.
Like, you know, same thing we tell like even the guys at like the younger levels or the lower levels of junior, like, hey, you got to go where you're going to play. You got to develop, you got to get puck touches, you got to, you know, improve, you know, you got to improve your performance.
Well, the other thing is that the Morin kid that we had played for us 3 years ago, he had 70 points on defense, got drafted by Calgary, went out to Calgary's camp, came back, just was not the same player. Just, I think he got caught up in his head, and he went to the NHL camp and he was there. So he had not a very good year, not this past year, the year before. This year came back with Gardner and just turned it back up again. And perfect example is Gardner took him and said, hey, you know, you're not there. You've got to work hard. And he's not a big guy, but he's a great player. So he really picked it back up again this year and put it back together. And those are the kind of things that an NHL coach, and you can't say it about every NHL guy, but a lot of them don't have that mentality to take that kid and do that. They played the game and they went through the game and they became players, but to get that back to a young player is something a lot of them guys can't do.
You know? Yeah. And what I find is interesting too from like a development standpoint, I feel like not a lot of guys think about is that there's like a whole nother spectrum to development. It's not always about going to the next league. So a player that's right on that bubble of, okay, like we're trying to get them ready for the NHL instead of the American League might not be the right move, because even though that will challenge him, like even if it's a player that's had success already in major junior, even though the American League might challenge him, it's like, hey, that's the wrong kind. Like we don't need him to hold on for dear life and develop in that, you know, in that way of catching up to the level. We want to put him somewhere where he's already comfortable and develop another layer of his game. But how are you going to develop that additional layer of the game if he's not comfortable in his surroundings to begin with, and he's developing in terms of catching up, right? If you're developing in terms of catching up, you're not developing that other layer that could only really be developed when you're already comfortable with what you're doing. And I think that's a hard thing for some people to realize, and a hard thing for people to accept, and a hard thing for some people to execute, because everybody always says, oh, get out of your comfort zone. But it's about you. It's not about your surroundings. Like you could be comfortable in your surroundings, but then pushing yourself to, you know, again, maybe add another layer to get out of your comfort zone and that kind of stuff. And that's what a lot of players need at this stage of the game, is they have to add something else. They got to improve something else. They got to add that other layer or improve that other layer. And a lot of times you got to do that somewhere where the foundation's already set.
Yeah. So, I mean, the perfect example is a kid that goes to the American Hockey League and he's not doing well there. He's going to be his brain is going to be really taxing to try to stay there. And it's going to affect him on the ice, I think, in a lot of cases. So if he's not ready to play there and he can still play another year at junior, like us, we probably played almost 100 games last year. I mean, talk about development. That's going to develop you, especially if you're good and you're getting to play and you got a coach that's giving you the confidence. Maybe that year that he plays with us is going to be the difference in him making it to the next level.
Sure. And especially with a team that, like you guys, that is going to distance and playing in all these big games and playing the championship games and winning championships and going to Memorial Cup, because there's a lot to be said to learning how to win and learning and getting that big game experience and that championship experience.
Yep.
I mean, there's really no way to substitute that. And there's a lot of value in that. So if you can get that experience of going deep into the Quebec League playoffs, going deep into the Memorial Cup.
Yep.
I mean, there's not really any other way to get that. And it's huge. It goes a long way.
Well, the lesson that got learned in the Memorial Cup for us was that, we had a great year and we did really well, win the Presidential Cup. Now you're going up against the best of the best. And London, Ontario, that London team was good. I mean, I think they got 9 guys going to NHL, and they were big. They were big, and they just moved the puck so fast. And our kids learned a ton of stuff from that. I mean, even our coach. I mean, and he's just been at it forever. And I tell you, he learned from that experience.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. Now I remember the last Memorial Cups that we were in. I mean, the one in 2010, we won the Presidential Cup. We went out to Brandon, Manitoba, and we struggled because our goalie got hurt 2 weeks before we went out there. But we had that was a good showing for our kids. And then in 2006, when Quebec beat us, and we had Marchand and Yandel and all those guys, it was we should have won that. But again, Quebec had that Russian kid. He played for New Jersey. I can't remember the kid's name. I mean, he was unbelievable. He killed us in that final to the Memorial Cup. He would score goals. I mean, he was unbelievable. He wouldn't go on the ice, though. When Marchand was on the ice, he wouldn't go on the ice.
Right.
He'd come off, but he was something else. And I think he played for New Jersey. I think. Really good, really top-notch Russian. He had a great career, too, in the NHL. But anyway, you learn stuff from that stuff. You figure Yandel had a phenomenal career, and Marchand, he's another one's had an unbelievable career. I'm sitting here right now looking at a picture of Marchand with a Bruins uniform with the Stanley Cup over his head. And on the other side, he's standing there with the Florida Panthers with the cup over his head. I just got it today.
That's really cool.
It really is cool.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Swan Hockey Podcast. We remind you that season pass points are available to listeners. For more information, please visit www.swanhockey.io. Until next time.